I first wanted to talk about the AG's ruling. Attorney Nardone laid it out pretty well. The finding was that, as he said, school committee failed to sufficiently specify business to be discussed in that particular line item, failed to post supporting attachments on the Secretary of State's website, which he didn't mention, that the whatever site he did mention isn't sufficient. I forgot what it's called. Thank you. Clerk base isn't sufficient. The backup docs have to be on the Secretary of State's website as well, and they were not there. The nature of the business to be discussed happened to be, if people remember, who were at that August 11th meeting, that it was advocated by the chair that only parents with children in the schools be allowed to address the school committee. And leaving unrepresented those of us who pay taxes to support this district. More on that soon. Based on my experience, I would respectfully have to disagree with our solicitor that that there was an attempt to deceive here, in spite of what the AG's office found. Try to silence parents. They got caught. We caught them, and the AG's office agreed. Also, just as important was that the school committee members may, they don't have to, they may respond to speakers during open forum, even if the topic is not on the agenda. That is not a violation of the Open Meetings Act. The solicitor is a very skilled attorney. I know this. And I'm surprised if he doesn't know the OMA inside out. You were continually advised that any exchange between school committee members and a speaker could be a violation of the OMA in the solicitor's responses to my complaints. I believe in my heart of hearts, after speaking here for some 16 months now, that there was the chair specifically and others don't want to hear opinions that are differing from theirs. So I think it was deliberate again. Made it seem you all thought that you can't respond to somebody at this podium if someone asks you a question. You are not compelled to respond, but you may respond without it being an OMA violation. Make no mistake, you may respond. You do not have to respond. There's a difference. So if someone were to ask you questions like I'm about to do, that is your prerogative whether you would like to respond or not. So out of respect to parents and taxpayers of Westerly, I would suggest that you try a little bit harder, a little more dutifully, to be upfront and post specifically what will be discussed on the agenda. Make sure you put your supporting documents up there on the Secretary of State's website, so taxpayers will have ample understanding of what they are witnessing at a meeting and if they would like to speak on that topic. So that said, I would like to know the position of each school committee member on the following. Should the books Gender Queer and Fun Home be removed from the Westerly High School library? Mr. Ober, do you have an opinion? I'll take that as a no. Mrs. Cook, I think I know how you feel.
Mr. Chiaradio, I think we can respond after you're done, after all the speakers are done. That's when we can respond. That's my understanding.
You
Attorney
can
Nardone,
respond whenever you like.
in the middle of the meeting? I don't know if that's not our procedure.
My advice is that you should respond when public forum, the public comments are concluded. You can, if you'd like to respond, do so under committee response.
Good enough. Okay.
Now, into the terms of the question I was asked, would I support? I would never support banning a book. You know, I have never supported prohibiting kids from looking at ideals. Yes, it has to be age appropriate. That's what we're here for. They're not here to judge if it's a good book or it's a bad book. Is it age appropriate? You know, and also once you start banning books, it doesn't stop. I mean, last week they banned a book on the Holocaust because it had foul language. Do we really want to do that here?
In terms of the other comment with Mr. Chiaradio, Rose, the Secretary of State's website, I don't remember us ever putting backup materials on anything. So I question whether that, I mean, Mr. Chiaradio said that we're supposed to, but we never have. So I don't know if you want to look into that. I don't expect you to speak, but just I wanted to bring that to your attention. In terms of the banning of the book question to Mr. Chiaradio, I do not support banning of books, and I'll tell you why. We just had a parent who wants us to remove a book about bulimia and suicide. Not about pornography anymore. Now it's other books that people find objectionable, and that's where it's never going to end. What I do support is parents exercising their rights and community members with the form, and I still don't understand why we have so many people talking on this topic, but nobody has submitted a request yet. I know that Mr. Hoban explained the policy or the procedure to folks, but I'm not clear on why that's not happening, because that would get the discussion going internally amongst the administration and the teachers and better understand what's going on. So it's there as an.
Mr. Salino.
Thank you. I want to be able to provide an answer for you, Mr. Chiaradio, because we've actually corresponded about this before anyway, but just to make my answer public, you know, as a Christian, I don't know if I can see the value in that book being in the library, but as a school committee member, I would be against banning any kind of book because, as Ms. Cook pointed out, it does tend to steamroll, and you know, just because I don't like something, I don't think I'm smart enough to make the decision on what other people should and should not be able to read. So in that sense, I don't think we should be taking the book out.
Mr. Chiaradio, I don't believe I ever said that we only or didn't want to hear from parents and taxpayers. I have never turned anyone down to speak. We would never do that, while our primary purpose here is to serve the children of this district. We are secondarily responsible to the taxpayers of this community. And because you said that doesn't make it true. So I would like to see proof that I uttered those words at some point. I don't believe in the 9 years I've been sitting up here that I have ever done that. So again, just because people come to the podium and say things does not make them true. And the truth does matter. It really does. As far as the book, it's not a book I would read. I don't need to read that book. I also don't think it's up to me to take it out of anyone's hands that may be helped by that content. And as Mr. Ober pointed out, there are other books now that are being on the hot seat to be thrown out. Where does it stop? If we start it, where does it ever stop? So, so that's all I had for comments. Thank you.